You know, there's this perception that every African American in the country must necessarily be for Barack Obama.
Not so.
Unfortunately, that isn't true, or fortunately that isn't true, because what we know is there are African Americans who believe in free enterprise, they believe in liberty, they believe in the Constitution, and we have here to talk with us today the Vice Chairman of the Black Republican Council, Rich Thompson. Rich, come on up and tell us about it.
Greetings, my fellow Republicans. As I stand before you here today, I have a great sense of pride and joy to know that the Georgia Black Republican Council is a part of a very large alliance of Georgia Republican auxiliary organizations that has really taken this state to the next level. On behalf of our chairman, who could not be here with us today, Michael McNeil, I'd like to bring you greetings on behalf of the Georgia Black Republican Council and all of our many members all around the state of Georgia. We're glad to be a part of the team. When I reflect on the daunting task that lies ahead for us, I admit from time to time I am momentarily perplexed. But I'm comforted by the faithful assurance that our party will be victorious in November and beyond. And though our quest to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity are somewhat challenged, rebuked, attacked, and even at times made a mockery by the other party, which currently occupies the White House and a slim majority in the United States Senate, I invite you today to draw from the strength that I draw from as a proud Georgia Black Republican. And I draw that strength from a diversely unique founding father. His name is none other than Frederick Douglass. For you see, in 1857, in New York, Frederick Douglass declared these words, and I find them still appropriate today. The conflict has been exciting, agitating, all-absorbing, and for the time being, putting all other tumults to silence. It must do this, or it does nothing. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom but deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without the thunder and the lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of the many waters. This struggle may be a moral one. It may be a physical one. It may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. But my fellow Republicans, I have a plan. Thanks to the words of a poet that I fell in love with when I was just a young boy. A poem that was entitled, "Be the Best of Whatever You Are." I have a plan and a final challenge for you. It is simply this. We can't all be captains. You've got to be crew. There's something for us all here. There's big work to do, and there's lesson to do. And the task we must do is the near. If you can't be the highway, then just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by the side that you win or you fail, but be the best of whatever you are. My fellow Republicans, from the kitchen table to the Capitol Hill, I challenge you to be the best of whatever you are. And let us grow our party, both today, tomorrow, and forever.
As part of our Republican landslide last time, where we swept all of the Democrats out of office, in case you didn't know already, one of those was our newest member of the Public Service Commission, Tim Echols, who can't be here today, but who has sent us a video. And so let's enjoy some comments from Commissioner Tim Echols.
Hey everyone, I wish I could be there with you in person right now. 2 of my 7 children are graduating from high school today, and we've got a house full of relatives in to celebrate this special milestone. The Georgia Public Service Commission is off most people's radar. That's unfortunate, especially as we enter a time when many decisions have to be made about our aging coal plants, additional new plants that might be built after Plant Vogtle, and the impending disposal of decades worth of nuclear waste sitting on the ground at 2 Georgia facilities. I'm very concerned about what President Obama has done to stop the Yucca Mountain project to store that waste. As you know, gasoline prices are 7% higher than this time a year ago. Our debt and deficit continue to grow. And the only new jobs are in the government sector, it seems. We're going the wrong way. Despite President Obama, though, natural gas is down 17% from this time a year ago. These lower natural gas prices give us an opportunity to lower electricity prices temporarily here in Georgia, to reduce home heating costs, and even provide an alternative to gasoline-powered cars with CNG priced at just $2.39 a gallon in the Atlanta area. As chairman this year, I invite you to be in touch with the Public Service Commission. The PSC has 5 members with collective experience of 44 years. Our senior member, Stan Wise, rose to be president of our National Association. Chuck Eaton, our vice chair for the 2nd year running, has been invaluable to the operations of the agency. Like the rest of our slate of constitutional officers, the PSC is all Republicans. We're all elected statewide, and we are all desirous of input from you, our constituents. Most importantly, I'm looking forward to getting behind our nominee and sending President Obama back to Chicago. May God give us victory in November. Thanks for your support.
So first, a technical announcement. So I need 3 delegates to go to the Credentials Committee. James Bellinger, Deborah Jo Steele, Terry Ames. So if you're in or you know them, would you find them and ask them if they would go, okay, if they would go to the Credentials Committee, that would be great. If you served or have served in the United States military, would you please stand up? Thank you. Thank you. It always fascinates me is that how there are those who think that you can say thank you too often. But it seems to me that for people who are willing to sacrifice their life, we can never say thank you often enough. And I just want us to do that. And do it often. And today, representing the Georgia Republican veterans is Colonel Larry Rosinski. And he's going to come talk to us about the Georgia Republican veterans. Come on up.
Good afternoon, fellow Republicans. It's a great day to be in Georgia. Veterans, your country needs you as never before. You are national security, and you are being called back in to serve with your spirit of conviction, duty, honor, maturity, and love of country. There are no adults in charge in this administration. You are America's moral strength, an example, just as the soldiers possessed at Valley Forge when all looked hopeless. This election is about a vision lost on national security and its connection to job creation, national debt, educational investment, energy independence, future of health care, and the strength of the greatest military on the face of the earth. This administration is destroying the anchor, faith, and hope in the rule of law and governance through the will of the people. Our constitutional foundation is being rendered meaningless by someone who professes to have a degree in constitutional law, but challenges the Supreme Court with veiled intimidation and disdain for the people's house and the American traditions of all families and walks of life. This president has failed to galvanize America. He divided and balkanized Americans with his social and economic philosophy of despair and servitude. His calendar is filling up with campaign trips to military communities for backdrops and props, hoping no one asks why he is AWOL on veterans issues. He finds time for golf, entertainment, and yes, $35,000 a plate campaign dinners, but is AWOL at homecoming of our troops from Iraq. He owes veterans more than handshakes, photo ops, and speeches at campaign time. He owes them respect for promises made. Action is what our military delivers in frontline combat. Retreat is what Obama delivered when our soldiers needed support. Veterans hear rhetoric from this administration and observe something totally different when the promises are called due. Service members are standing in a line nearly 900,000 deep, waiting for health care claims. This comes at a time when he intends to hollow out our military by laying off 14% of our troops. Veterans are now experiencing 13% unemployment, and women faring far greater at 40%. Contradictions and hypocrisy from this administration runs deep. Veterans are less important to this president than hiring a battalion's worth of IRS personnel to implement Obamacare, but refuses to hire VA personnel to handle veterans' claims. Where are the executive orders, Mr. President, for the troops when you need one? Why is the Secretary of Defense billing the government nearly $1 million thus far for private flights home to California every weekend? And in 2009, President Obama, oh yes, we remember, discussed a proposal to force private insurance companies to pay for treatment of military veterans who suffer service-connected disabilities and injuries. Oh, but this president can give $439 million bonuses to federal employees in 2011. Veterans received silence. We expect national leaders to possess self-discipline, requisite maturity, to lead by example, and know the meaning of sacrifice and self-service, not self-indulgence and selfishness. Obama has straitjacketed the military in political correctness over survival skills, which may have direct impact on the increased sacrifices of service members on the battlefield. He forbids and bans those that he disagrees with from military posts, and calls the murder of 13 service members at Fort Hood workplace violence. Even state visits to the White House are in the lowest in memory because international leaders have figured out that they have lost confidence and respect for this president to lead. The legacy of America's military and veterans who fought our nation's wars are overshadowed by so-called leaders who do not lead by example. The attempt to diminish our national heritage and traditions and replace it with anything goes governance is a threat to our national security. For if we do not remind ourselves of how we became Americans and sacrifices made to allow us to pursue happiness, we will be doing a disservice and dishonor to the heroes of our heritage, the American people, and those who fought, died, and are buried in military cemeteries across America and the world. This we will honor on Memorial Day. Veterans, yes, your country needs you as never before. Let's complete the task at hand, and those before us who hoped that we would, for the America they and we believe in. God bless.
You know, the president doesn't believe that faith will play a significant role in this election this fall. He's been willing at every turn to try to remove God from the public square. He's wrong. And we're going to need every effort we can to make sure that we stand firm on the role of faith in governing this country. And to bring us greetings and talk to us about that is Terry Green, the Georgia Republican Faith-Based Outreach Coalition. Terry.
Good afternoon. I would like to invite each and every one of you tonight, if you have time, to the Pro-Life and Praise meeting at the Foundry at the Iron Works at 8:45 p.m. This year I had the privilege of working with Julianne Thompson, Kay Godwin, and Pat Tanner Tibbet, and a few other leaders across the country and across the state in a coalition we formed called the Capital Coalition of Conservative Leaders. We got a lot done together, and I'm very proud of that. The psalmist said, "Blessed is the nation whose God is Lord, the people he chose for his inheritance." According to Margaret Truman, the most difficult decision Harry Truman faced as president was whether or not to support the creation of a Jewish homeland in Palestine after World War II. "I'm trying to make the world safer for the Jewish people," he said. In November of 1947, he lobbied the United Nations resolution that divided Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. Great Britain announced it would transfer authority over to Palestine to the United Nations by May 14 of 1948. On the eve of the British withdrawal, most American experts strongly opposed the creation of a Jewish state, warning Truman that the Arab countries would cut off oil and unite to destroy the Jewish people. But Truman weighed the multifaceted concerns, and he held firm. The nation's first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, read the Declaration of Jewish Independence. "The name of our state shall be Israel." At midnight, British over Palestine lapsed. 11 minutes later, White House spokesman Charlie Rose announced that the U.S. recognized Israel as a state. With Truman's decisions, the hopes of the Jewish people were realized. This took a great amount of courage on Truman's part, the kind of courage that we need today, in this moment, at this time, a time that each and every one of you and I have been chosen to be a part of. Billy Graham said, "Courage is contagious. When a brave man takes a stand, the spines of others are stiffened." We are in a race we are called to run. What is needed to stay in that race? Courage, endurance, hard work, determination, motivation, preparation, and concentration of our minds and our hearts. We are God's vessels, and only when we allow Him to work in us and through us will His will be accomplished. It doesn't matter if we don't have the right credentials. If the Lord has called you to do something, He will lead you and equip you. And best of all, it will be obvious to everyone that it's Him, it's not you, it's not me. He alone deserves the glory. God has called us to do a lot of things for Him, but He did not call us to burn out, disqualify ourselves, or to drop out. We have lost our equilibrium and reserved our values. We have ridiculed the absolute truth of God's Word and called it pluralism. We have rewarded laziness and called it welfare. We have killed our unborn and called it choice. We have neglected to discipline our children by calling it self-esteem. We have abused power and called it politics. We have coveted our neighbor's possessions and we have called it social justice. We have made a mockery of the time-honored values of our forefathers and called it freedom of expression. Society and government wasn't meant to appease everyone's emotional choices. It is a building block to a strong nation. We were created to glorify God, not to undermine His commands. God instructs us to pray that His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Our hope should be that by praying with intention, the conscience of the church will be awakened to the plight of others, the unborn child, the mother struggling with a crisis pregnancy, the elderly who feel increasingly devalued by the severely disabled who are at the mercy of the decisions of others in this government and our president. And we have been awakened and will be moved to act on their behalf. We must pray that the hearts and minds, including our own, would be turned to embrace the beauty and truth of the fact that each human being is fearfully and wonderfully made. Such renewal might seem impossible given a pervasive and increasing disregard for human life. But remember, our Lord teaches us that we always ought to pray and not lose heart. The Lord the one who is Lord of the church, is also the Lord of the heaven and the earth. In March of 1984, Ronald Reagan said, "Fellow citizens, fellow conservatives, our time has come again. This is our moment. Let us unite, shoulder to shoulder, be one behind one mighty banner for freedom. And let us go forward from here, not with some faint hope that our cause is not yet lost. Let us go forward confident that the American people share our values and together that we will be victorious. May the Lord bless and protect every one of you. May the Lord smile and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you His favor, and may the Lord give you the peace, and may the Lord give you the endurance to run the race to November. Thank you, and may God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless America."
Those of us who've been around a while remember Jack Kingston. He's our first congressional district congressman. He's a member of the important House Appropriations Committee. He's been recognized as the most conservative member of the Congress by the National Journal. Jack was unable to join us today, but he wanted to bring us some greetings. And so please join me in watching the video from Jack Kingston. Jack?
Hi, I'm Congressman Jack Kingston. I'm sorry I'm not with you today, but I am proud to be part of our team to restore the United States of America in 2012. You know, it seems like we say it every year, that this election is the most important election of our lifetime, yet this November truly fits that category. It is going to be a referendum on the Obama policies of bailouts, stimulus programs, $1.3 trillion deficits are the Romney vision of a smaller government, a stronger defense, a country where you and I make our own decisions, not busybody bureaucrats out of Washington, D.C. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we win this November. But we have got to be unified from the courthouse to the White House, from the East Coast to the West, from the North to the South. We've got to be together, and we've got to make this happen because our children's children depend on it. Thank you for what you're doing, and God bless America.
Now, as many of you know out there, I write a weekly newspaper column. For those of you who don't get it, you can always just send me a note and we'll add you to the list. But this week I wrote on the Georgia legislature and talked about what wonderful things a Republican-controlled legislature can do. However, I spent an entire part of that column talking about the role of the Tea Party and how it served as the boundaries to keep our legislators in check, to make sure that we remember why they're there, to make sure that we stay within the fiscal responsibility and the issues that are so important to help us get elected in the fall. And to talk to us now is the Georgia Republican Party's Tea Party liaison, Julianne Thompson. Julianne?
Hello, Georgia Republicans. I want to know how many freedom-loving, red-blooded American patriots are here today. It is such an honor to be important election of our lifetime, maybe the most important election in the history of our great nation. The Tea Party Coalition is honored to have been working very hard with Chairman Everhart, with the Georgia Republican Party, organizing all the way down to the precinct level to keep a majority in Georgia and to keep the U.S. House, bring home the Senate, and take back the White House in November. And we couldn't do it without every single person in this room and lots of other activists who were not able to be here today. But one of the most wonderful things about being involved in the Tea Party and being a Republican is that we are represented by so many wonderful activists across the state of Georgia. Now let me ask you a question. Do you remember back in high school during pep rallies when they would give a Spirit Stick Award to the grade that had the most school spirit, that was the most enthusiastic? Well, lucky for all of you, I used to be a cheerleader. And we're going to have a little contest right now because I want to hear from my friends all over Georgia. So if you are from North Georgia, the home of my good friends Teresa Tatum, Linda Fowler, Ed Painter, Pepper Pettit, and the Lion of North Georgia himself, Jack Smith, let me hear you say victory! If you are from South Georgia, home of patriots like Nolan and Diane Cox, and Georgia treasures like Kay Godwin and Pat Tippett, let me hear you say victory! If you are from Metro Atlanta and the suburbs, home of leaders like Virginia Galloway, Steve Ramey, Catherine McDonald, and my good friend and sister, Debbie Dooley, let me hear you say victory! Wow. Let me hear the whole building say victory in November. I think you all get the Spirit Stick. I can't choose one over the other. But you know, the wonderful thing about being a Republican is that sometimes we disagree in the primary. But right now I want you to take an opportunity to shake the hand of the person to your left. Now shake the hand of the person to your right. Because in November, you are all on the same team. Yes. And together we will stand, together we will fight, and together we will be victorious. Thank you, Georgia Republicans, and let's rock the vote!
Now, my favorite part of that is that we have a couple seated right here on the front row. Would you please stand up, just this couple right here? Yeah, the two of you. You know who I am talking about. Now, when she said shake the hand to your left and your right, I got the feeling the two of you knew each other already. And so it was great. But there's so thank you for enduring me there. It's just, she's so right. We have to win in November. And it means coming together and being part of a team that's committed to a single goal. The next speaker is the chairman of the Asian American Coalition. Please welcome Mr. Jimmy Ho. Jimmy, come on up.
Good afternoon, honorable officer, honorable delegates, and honorable alternates. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jimmy Ho. I'm the Asian American Community Strategy Partner. I'm helping our party to reach out the Asian American community through the media, newspaper advertisement, mail, and by attending their community activity to inform them the principle of the Republican Party is the same as the principle of the Asian Americans' conservative traditions, just like just like a hard-working, personal responsibility, the importance of family unit, as well as children's education, of course, as more government, lower taxes, and the national defense. I have to thank our chairwoman, Ms. Sue Everhart, and Associate Mika Kiwanis here. With their help and support, we create a push cart. This is the push cart, with simple and easy to understand the message of the principle of the Republican Party and translate into several different languages. We have Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, Malay, and Indian. When the people see their own mother language in this push cart, they are happy and excited because they feel they are included in our party. And I hope this push cart can bring and recruit more Asian Americans to join our party and support our party in the coming November election. In 2008 election, the Democrat Barack Obama, promised a change and won the presidential election. And after 3.5 years of his incompetent leadership, and we all suffer a torture and a miserable change. A lot of our citizens, they lost their jobs. A lot of them lost their house and homes. And many of us lost confidence, lost dignity, and even lost the hope to the future. This is a very important year, and we have to work all together to elect our own Republican president to make a real good change. To create more jobs, to improve the economic growth, and to restore our Americans' sovereignty and prosperity for the future, not only for ourselves, but for our children. Thank you. God bless America and bless all of us. I'm Jimmy Ho.
And now we have a special video from the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus. If you would, let us see the video.
Hi, I'm Reince Priebus, chairman of the Republican National Committee. We're in the middle of an election like none in recent memory. For many, if not most of us, this will be the most consequential election in our lifetimes. We look at the state of the economy and at the growth of government, and we recognize so much is at stake. We know that we must defeat Barack Obama this November. We must send a Republican to the White House, take back the Senate, and hold our majority in the House. Our country's future demands nothing less. With the U.S. Senate divided 53-47, we need to overtake just 4 of the 23 Democratic Senate seats at stake in this election. President Obama has put America on an utterly unsustainable trajectory. After an $825 billion stimulus, millions of Americans still can't find work. Over 46 million people live in poverty. The president has produced 3 record annual deficits. And in 9 years, our debt will equal $24 trillion. The more Obama grows government, the more he grows the debt, the less freedom our children will have to enjoy. When Washington runs the economy, Washington runs our lives. When Washington can tell us what to do, we can't tell it to stop. It's time to end Barack Obama's presidency before his presidency ends our way of life. At the RNC, we're working non-stop, but we need help from you, our strong and active grassroots network. Only through our combined efforts can we effectively fight for our conservative principles. As Abraham Lincoln once noted, important principles may and must be inflexible. In the spirit of Lincoln, let us stay faithful and stand firm from now until Election Day and beyond. I'm grateful for the work of the Republican leaders and the RNC members in your state. And I also want to thank you for your work and for your commitment to our party. I want you to stay connected with us at the RNC. And you can do that by joining our mobile army. Take out your phone and text GOP to 91919, and we'll keep you updated with videos, news from the RNC, and exclusive strategy memos. That's GOP to 91919. God bless you, and thank you again for everything that you do, because together in November, we're going to fire Barack Obama and save America.
Now, earlier you heard Dr. Parks talk about what we're doing with education. In a few minutes, you will hear from Speaker Ralston about the commitment by the Georgia legislature to do the same. But now we hear from the Georgia Republican Education Task Force Chairman, Sandra Thompson. Sandra?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from teachers across the state of Georgia. All of you can probably remember back when you were in school about those teachers that were good communicators. And we need good communicators to be volunteers for our campaigns, working on the campaigns, volunteering. So, do we have any educators that are out there today? If you would please stand and let's recognize you. If you're out there today, you probably had to cut class to be here, but I know we have some retired educators. The goal of our coalition is to identify at least one educator in every county in the state of Georgia to be a contact person. We're going to be developing a database to share with all of our elected candidates that are running for office or re-election. And we want to provide contact for teachers and educators to be able to go to the Georgia Republican website. You'll find my contact information there. And we want to engage those educators and get them involved because they, as I said, they are good communicators. They like to talk. They're used to working with a diverse population. So on behalf of the educators for the state of Georgia, I would like to thank you for your support of educators throughout the state and the nation. And hopefully, if you know an educator, please refer them to me as a contact, and we will start that coalition. And again, thank you for your support of education, and have a great convention. Thank you.
Thank you. If you will now turn our attention to the screen, we have a video from Georgia's Commissioner of Labor, Mark Butler, who also couldn't be with us today, but wanted to send us a message. Mark
Butler. I'm sorry I couldn't be here today, but I'm currently running a job fair for the Secret Service. Apparently, the president is running low on agents. But seriously, we have a lot of hard work ahead of us. Barack Obama and the Democrats are working night and day, raising record amounts of money to defeat Mitt Romney in November. But it will be party workers like you who are going to make a difference. The hope and change the Democrats promised us has turned into massive unemployment and a tyrannical government which oversteps its authority at every turn. No one is safe from their threats and spin machine, not even the Supreme Court. As the first Republican Labor Commissioner in Georgia history, I can tell you firsthand about the waste and abuses of a Democrat-run agency. run without regard to budget or competence. But now, because of your support, we finally can apply some real, common sense, conservative solutions to help Georgia's working families get back to work and protect the taxpayers at the same time. We now have a labor department that understands that people come first and that business creates jobs, not the government, which is something that our current president still does not understand. We need to keep boots on the ground to help us run these campaigns and keep our solid slate of Republican elected officials in place. And that's where you come in. My family and I are grateful for the help and support given to us by the Georgia Republican Party and its members, and I am honored to represent you at the Georgia Department of Labor. I can't think of a finer group of people than the folks I've met around the state who are active in the Republican Party, and I look forward to continuing to serve the citizens of Georgia, and especially the Georgia Republican Party. I want to specifically thank Chairman Sue Everhart, Speaker David Ralston, and Governor Nathan Deal for their service to our party. Now, you guys have a great convention this weekend, and with your help, we will be celebrating the defeat of Barack Obama together on November 6th.
They say young people are key to the future. That's because they are the future. And the outgoing chairman of the Georgia Young Republicans is here to talk to us about how they can do their part to helping us beat Barack Obama. Cameron Fash. Cameron?
Good afternoon, everyone. Ronald Reagan once asked, "Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" Now, thanks to our current president, I think we'd all agree that we are not. But if you were to ask that same question about the state of the Georgia Young Republicans, the answer is a resounding yes. 4 years ago, when I was first elected state chairman, our organization was struggling. Our statewide membership was dismal. We had very little money and hardly any respect. But after creating a new vision and unifying as a team, spending countless hours in support of Republican candidates, we turned this once faltering organization into the premier Young Republican Federation in America. In just a few short years, we have more than doubled our statewide membership and increased the number of clubs across this state by 70%. In 2010, we elected more than 24 young Republicans elected or re-elected more than 24 young Republicans to public office in Georgia, including 2 to Congress, Tom Graves and Austin Scott, 15 to the State House, 2 to the State Senate, 1 as State Labor Commissioner, and numerous others to local office. Back in November, we were proud to host the National Young Republican Board meeting. This was the first time since 1995 that Georgia had been given this opportunity. And what did we do with that opportunity? We put on the finest board meeting in recent history. Our good friend Herman Cain stopped by to give a speech that was broadcast live nationally, and over 2 million Americans were introduced to the Young Republicans with our Georgia Young Republican banner and logo in the background. No event in the history of the Young Republicans has ever generated that much positive publicity. And to cap things all off, just last month, the National Young Republicans presented their annual awards. And Georgia won most of them. The National Young Republican Man of the Year was presented to our very own National Committee Man and State Senator Josh McCoon from right here in Columbus. The National Young Republican Woman of the Year was presented to Layla Shipman, our National Committee Woman from Rome, Georgia. And the National Young Republican Club of the Year was presented to the Atlanta Young Republicans, who I see their banner flying up above us over here. So as you can see, this once faltering organization is no more. We are now the finest grassroots organization, our young Republican grassroots organization in America. It's been a great opportunity to serve as chairman of this great organization. I just got to say, this organization has a special place in my heart. My cousin and I, went to our first Young Republican meeting about 9 years ago. We thought it'd be a good place to meet women. And we did. We both met our wives there. And if it hadn't been for the Young Republicans, I wouldn't have met my beautiful wife, Nicole, who's down here on front. This organization changed my life, and I hope that our recent success will help change the lives of so many others. Thank you all for your support.
Now we have a video from Georgia's 10th Congressional District Congressman, Paul Brown.
We've got to stop outrageous spending in Washington. The people of the 10th District first heard me say that in 2007 as I campaigned for Congress. Since then, they've probably heard me repeat the phrase 1,000 times in town hall meetings, civic groups, as well as in the media. I say this over and over again because now, more than ever, it is absolutely critical that we stop the outrageous spending in Washington. There are many professional politicians in Washington, both Republicans and Democrats alike, that want to continue spending your money without any responsibility, without any accountability, and without any regard for the future of our nation. If they don't change their ways, it's time for those people to see the door. Georgians elected me and have twice since re-elected me to help stop the fiscal insanity and to bring America back from bankruptcy. My record of fighting Washington's tax, borrow, and spend syndrome is crystal clear. I consistently have opposed earmarks and wasteful spending that cost American taxpayers billions of dollars every year. I introduced the Budget or Bust Act. It simply says Congress will not get paid until it passes a budget. I authored a unique balanced budget amendment to the Constitution that requires a 2/3 majority vote to raise taxes and cap spending. It requires Congress to return all excess revenue back to you, the taxpayers. And lastly, I voted against all attempts to raise the national debt ceiling. Instead, I authored legislation to actually lower the debt ceiling. Again, my friends, we've got to stop the outrageous spending in Washington, D.C. Since Barack Obama became president, he has increased our national debt by $5 trillion. To put that into perspective here, it would take almost 8,000 years for you to spend $5 trillion if you spend it at $20 per second. We cannot afford 4 more years of Barack Obama. We need to fire him to get his failed policies out of the way. We need to unleash our American free enterprise system so it can create jobs. Therefore, I have authored H.R. 660, the Jobs Act, to jumpstart our business sector. Please check out the details at brown.house.gov. Also want to tell you that as a physician, I realize the importance of quality health care to you and to your family. That's why I've authored the Patient Option Act. It's H.R. 4224, which will make health care cheaper for everyone. It will provide coverage for all Americans, and it will save Medicare from going broke. My bill starts by fully repealing Obamacare if it's not overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. Additionally, it would enable you to deduct 100% of your medical expenses, including your health insurance costs. It also expands contribution limits to health savings accounts and moves Medicare to a premium assistance program, among many other comprehensive reforms. You're the heart and soul of the Republican Party. You're the leaders who can rally your family, friends, and neighbors to the cause of liberty. No election has ever been so critical for America's future. We must fire Barack Obama. His ideas of hope and change have only meant more spending, more government control over your lives, and more debt for your children and your grandchildren. When you get back home, spread the real message of hope and change that is rooted in our U.S. Constitution and our conservative values. Please help make 2012 a great year of restoring the American dream. It's up to you. I need your help.
So our next speaker, if if you can believe this, because it's so long ago, is a younger version of me. He was the state extemporaneous champion, 3 years running? He was in the same division as I was, which was 4 Quad A. He is from Lee County. He is the chairman of the Georgia Teen Republicans, and he is a great asset to all of us Republicans as he leads our youth to help deliver Georgia in the fall to defeat President Barack Obama. Come on now.
Well, I'm absolutely honored to have the opportunity to address the Georgia Republican Party State Convention today. This is almost like a dream come true for me because I have not had an opportunity like this ever in my life, and to finally have this opportunity to come up here and just say a few words, I'm beyond humbled. But there are a couple of things that we need to understand about what is going on in our country today. We have to understand how important it is that our high schools, our teenagers, stay and become Republicans. Because quite frankly, we are the future of this nation, we are the future of this party, and it is absolutely essential that we get to work. Unfortunately, across America right now, the image is quite dismal, as I'm sure you all know. When you look in the high schools, you see, well, liberalism running rampant in the teachers and thus in the students. Unfortunately, it seems that there's little we can do, but that's why we're here. The Georgia Teen Republicans are here to combat that mentality, to combat that belief that high schoolers and young people will automatically be Democrats. We are changing the trend starting here in Georgia, because we have to change the trend in order to save this country. There's a lot going on right now for us as an organization, and this year we've absolutely exploded. And it's pretty clear why, because we want to see President Barack Obama defeated. Yes, that's right. We have grown, we have almost doubled in size as an organization from 25 chapters to just short of 50 as of today. We are growing, we are spreading, and we are going to make a difference in the 2012 elections. We know we can make a difference because for far too long we've been told that we can't make a difference, we're just kids. Well, that's absolutely wrong, because who are the people who are going out there and putting up the yard signs? Who are the people going up there and stuffing the envelopes? We do it. We make the phone calls, we put up the yard signs, and we get things done. Because that's what we want to do. We know it's our future. We know that this country is at stake. And if we don't do something about it, then we're going to lose our future. We're going to lose our country. And there's not going to be that better and brighter day. So what can you do to help us out? Well, there's a lot that you can do, because most of you know people. You know teenagers all across the state, whether they're your children or your grandchildren, whoever they may be. Reach out to them and try to get them connected. You can visit our website, www.gatrs.org. Get them plugged in. And we can change this state, and we can keep the trend Republican in this state for the future. We have to rally as Republicans today, starting at the high school level, if we are to remain relevant as a party in the future. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you today. Thank you so much for all that you do, and please continue to help us out as we push forward. Thank you.
Can you see why he won? John Baptist said he was better than me. I believe that. Wow. So, you know, as a convention chairman, I try to run you guys on a tight ship here, get you out on time. I'm going to look at your watch. You see that we're doing okay? And yet we have what has got to be our most impressive speaker. When I say speaker, I mean Speaker of the Georgia House of Representatives, David Ralston. It is my great pleasure to introduce Speaker Ralston, Georgia's 73rd Speaker of the Georgia House of Representatives. He has never been afraid of standing up for what he believes is right, even when that meant personal political sacrifice, even when that meant risk beyond imagination, even when that meant possibly not having an office to serve, because he has a core set of conviction that guides him, a core set of calm that directs him, and a core sense of direction that leads him to achieve Republican principles that we had hoped for, that we had dreamed of when we got our chance to go. And so would you please join me in welcoming our Republican House Speaker of the Georgia General Assembly, David Ralston.
Well, that last one was a hard act to follow. They said he was from Lee County. I think he was on American Idol last night. Thank you very much, Randy, for your kind words. And let me just begin by saying that I'm honored to